needed a penalty kick to defeat the Americans. That one came in the 75th minute, Jesse Fleming. But this time around, USA comes on top. They booked their ticket to the 2023 World Cup, and with winning this tournament, they get that automatic spot in Paris 2024. As we welcome you into One Soccer, Annie Petrillo, Diana Matheson, Amy Walsh. Let's take a look at that penalty now, as we love to discuss if it was a penalty, not a penalty, if it was soft, if it was warranted. Dee, I'm going to start with you. What'd you think of it?
Because I love to talk about whether plays were penalties. Yeah, I think Chappie got a bit unlucky on this one. Just clipped the very back heel of Rose Lavelle there. But certainly the momentum had been going in the U.S.'s favor. I think that they asked a few questions of Canada's shape defensively that Canada didn't quite have the answers for today. And then this was just a bit unlucky for Chapman, I think. And then San Diego teammates Alex Morgan and Kaylin Sheridan face off, and Sheridan ended up going the wrong way on that one for the American goal.
What did you see, Amy?
On the penalty, I think it's a bit soft as a call, but I think, so, I mean, even though Chapman clips Lavelle's heels and that's why she goes down, I think it's the outstretched arm that maybe gets the, you see me do that there on camera, that maybe gets the referee's attention. But no, either way, that probably doesn't get called. It goes to VAR. I think that does get called anyway. So soft or not, I think that's a penalty, especially in Concacaf.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well for a goalkeeper to swallow, especially when they've had such a good game, because Kaylin Sheridan is our Gatorade performance of the match. Busy in this one, as you predicted, Dee. I mean, obviously going up against a side that they were equally matched, you felt that she would see more action. She saw a ton of action. But again, if there were any doubts as to her getting that #1 position with Stephanie Labbe retiring, would you say those doubters have been silenced?
Yeah, if there's doubters out there, hopefully you are silenced now. I think, you know, there's going to be a lot Canada is going to be frustrated with in this game, a lot to work on and improve for the next time they play the U.S. But one thing for sure is that Kaylin Sheridan is solid in the back, and she stepped up for Canada in a big, big way. And for sure, I think player of the match for me as well.
Yeah, well, she's also going to get the All-State save of the match, because let's show that to you now as well. This was still in the first half where they managed to keep it scoreless heading into halftime, Amy, because, I mean, scoring a goal is one thing, timing of goals is everything, and the Americans were putting on the pressure near the end of that first half. But how about this save?
Well, this is just unbelievable, and it just speaks to the level of play and of compete that she had from the opening whistle. And Canada maybe didn't have it right at the beginning of the game, was sort of trying to find their footing, and the U.S. was coming at them fast and furious, and it just seemed to be the way the game was going to go. But if somebody was going to give them a clear head and kind of a calm presence there, it was going to be Kaylin Sheridan. And she pulls out that Milan Borjan-like save on the line there, like the one he had against Mexico. But I would say Kaylin Sheridan probably did it first, and Borjan's taking his cues from her.
So with this loss, people might be wondering, what does this mean? Canada still has a chance to qualify for the Olympics. That will happen in September 2023. We know they will be facing Jamaica, because the Jamaicans were the winner of that third-place game. They defeated Costa Rica 1-0. They actually had to go into overtime there. So they do have a chance, but you look at this and you just say, okay, missed opportunity. But what did you see from the Canadians in this match that, you know, didn't give them the win?
Yeah, I think for me, they didn't look quite as composed and confident as they did the last time they played the U.S. in Tokyo. There was a little bit more edge and almost, I want to say arrogance a little bit, because I think Canada's always confident, but a little more arrogance on the ball, that they were going to be the better team playing on the ball that day. Today, they seem to just have a little more doubt in possession, and I think that hurt them a bit. And then again, defensively, both teams, I think there was a lot of space in the midfield, so I think defensively, Bev Priestman's going to probably look at some solutions to have a different approach perhaps to the next time they play the U.S., or solve some of the problems that were created for them today, because the U.S. had a lot of chances. They had a lot of missed shots, I think, and Kaylin could have been even more busy today had it not been for that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the scoreline, right, 1-0, and you looked at the United States scored on a penalty, but, you know, Amy, as Dee just alluded to there, they did have a lot of missed opportunities. What did you see in Canada's structure that kind of gave the Americans all that space?
I think they looked vulnerable, and if you contrast that with the run that this team went on in Tokyo, they were a team that looked comfortable when they were out of possession. They never looked flustered. They always looked organized, and they were really tough to break down. Whereas today there was a little bit of panic, and they looked a little bit disjointed and not as cohesive as we've typically seen this team. Not only just their backline, but the team as a whole. And you just saw them, as I mentioned before, just under siege. So clearances perhaps that usually were more, they could be relied upon, weren't really there today. A 4-on-2, which you don't see every day. Canada giving up possession in the midfield and being vulnerable at the back. But, you know, making the recoveries, and then backstopped by Sheridan, who really saved them a lot of times today, where it looked like the U.S. really had a sure goal on their foot. So credit to Sheridan. But I think you also have to look at the U.S. They faced criticism for not being clinical and incisive enough in the final third. And I think you saw that today. They're able to generate those chances, but maybe it's that finishing, which is a common criticism also for Canada. But Canada just wasn't able to generate much of anything in the attack today, because they were just on the back foot because of how aggressive the U.S. was in their attack.
Yeah, that is a topic once again here tonight. We'll get to that in just a moment, the Canadian offense. But first, let's hear from the lone goal scorer in tonight's game.
Alex, overall, congratulations on the goal. It's a very obviously tough opponents, two top regional teams. Just thoughts about your goal and overall performance today.
I mean, you know, we worked on a lot of things this week, how to break them down, how to play quick. You know, it kind of all started from a throw-in, and Rose did what Rose does best, and I just finished it off. But there's plenty of opportunities for us to finish it off, but it came down to the penalty, and I'm just, you know, happy that we got the win.
Obviously, the atmospheres here, like obviously you're champions, but the atmospheres here has been great. They've been supporting the U.S. Any thoughts about the fans here?
Yeah, the fans really showed up tonight. You know, I didn't even realize it till all of a sudden the wave was going on, and I was like, oh, there's like a lot of people here. It was really fun. I was kind of so in the zone, but Monterey's been such a great host, and it's been fun being down here for a month. It's been a long time, but now we can go back home happy.
And then any final words for the fans back home?
Yeah, I mean, this is just another step forward. Now we've qualified for Olympics, we've qualified for World Cup, so we have some more big games this year, and you know, just happy to get this win, and for everyone who tuned in, just thanks for seeing us ball out.
Thank you very much, Alex.
All right, the Canadians will have some friendlies coming up in September. This is not the same game they will play in September of 2023 in order to qualify for the Olympics. These are friendlies against Australia and New Zealand, two host cities for the 2023 World Cup. You can catch those on One Soccer. It's a 1-0 loss for the Canadians. The Americans, as you heard Alex Morgan say, they have gotten the job done. They're going to the World Cup and the Olympics. They will celebrate on the pitch. The Canadians will regroup, and we'll continue talking about what we saw in this Concacaf W Championship final.
A lot has changed since you got your last perfect vehicle. You met someone. You got a dog. Your best friend met someone too. You got new interests. A new hobby. You felt a little more adventurous. You found a bigger hobby. You explored a little more. You needed a vehicle that reflected the new you. You found it. The all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Your new perfect.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates and analysis, and all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
Welcome to Allstate. Here, we know you have a few reasons to slow down. But we've got one more. Safe drivers save 30% with DriveWise. The safer you drive, the more you save with Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
For life's transitions, working from home, and even small businesses, life gets better when you have space. With no long-term contracts or leases, get the size you need. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the women's national team. Congratulations!
All right, so we know Canada has another chance to qualify for the 2024 Olympics, and defend their gold medal. They will take on Jamaica, who earlier defeated Costa Rica 1-0. That will be played in September. Yet to know the date, of course. When we know, we will let you know right away. Let's hear from Ashley Lawrence.
Obviously, it's not the result that you guys wanted, but can you just give me your overall thoughts about today's match against the U.S.?
Yeah, it's always a tough match against the U.S. I thought that we grew a lot throughout this tournament. We had consistent performances, and our goal was to be in the final to qualify for the World Cup, but also for the Olympics. Unfortunately, we fell short today, but I'm super proud of this team. We fought to the final whistle. We showed a lot of positives, and today we're going to take away the learnings, and we still have an opportunity to qualify for the Olympics. So it's not over, and we're just going to keep our heads high because it was a really strong performance from our team.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, why don't we start off talking about the positives first before we get into the goal scoring, because we know that is still going to be a narrative here when it comes to the team. But what did we learn about this Canadian team? Like, who stood out, who actually impressed and you know, made a name for themselves moving forward that you're actually excited about?
Well, I think a lot of Canadians, obviously we're talking about Julia Grosso with 3 goals in this tournament. In the first 2 games came out firing for Canada. And then a lot of people were calling for her to get more minutes later on. So I think that was a huge positive for this Canadian team. And she's going to go back to Juventus and just play more professional games and continue to develop, which is fantastic. And then on top of that, midfield goals. We saw lots of those. I love those from lots of players. Pretty much all the midfielders got on the board this tournament. So I think that was a real positive for Canada as well going forward.
Yeah, what stood out to you as well, Amy, when it comes to the positives you take from this team in the tournament?
Well, I think it's hard to ignore Sheridan and what she did today, especially. And here she is, I think, just named the goalkeeper of the tournament. So everybody else is also noticing what she's doing. So stepping into that role, it's not an easy thing to do, even if it's hers to lose. If she walks into that role, she still has to consistently earn it and perform. And so she does that today in spades. I mean, there was no sort of more convincing performance that she could have put on to convince her teammates and Bev Priestman that she deserves that #1 starting job. And I also think Jade Riviere. So you talk about Ashley Lawrence and how she's consistently been world class in that fullback position. Now that Canada has somebody on both sides of the pitch filling in those flanks and dominating play, and they get pinned back a little bit today against a strong U.S. side. But I think once Canada has, and they do now with those 2 players, the ability to attack and to go high and to put other teams on their heels, I think so. Looking at Riviere and what she can bring to this team, I think moving forward, there's a lot of good things, a lot of positives that could be gleaned from that.
I wonder how you must feel, because this is also a mirror image of qualifying for the 2020 Olympics. Steph LeBay gets the Golden Glove. Sheridan gets the Golden Glove. Jordan Huitema got the Golden Boot. I believe Julia Grosso is about to be awarded the Golden Boot. So you get the individual accolade, but the result isn't what you want in order to, you know, beat your rivals. In this case, you don't get the automatic berth to the Olympics. So, I mean, you're walking up there, you have to be feeling pretty good, Dee, but at the same time, the Canadians are maybe wondering what could have been.
Yeah, the individual awards definitely never feel as good when your team has just lost the game. And yeah, mirror image is that Tokyo semifinal and the penalty kicks being awarded. And both kind of a relatively weaker or softer foul that caused the penalty. So yeah, I think there was, sports are cruel, and the penalty was all that was in it today. And that's the difference between the Olympic qualification berth and unfortunately waiting another 1.5 years to qualify.
Yeah, so the Canadians will have those friendlies as well in September. So now they'll hope to get some more games under their belt and then prepare for that game against Jamaica. More games coming up this summer. It's the Women's Interprovincial Championship, League One. It'll pit 4 teams against each other. League One Ontario, League One BC, and then the 2 teams from Quebec. This is the inaugural tournament that'll run August 12th to the 14th, and you can catch that action right here on One Soccer. Alex Morgan, Best Player Award goes to her. The 2 Canadians, as we just showed you, getting their individual awards here. And it's Alex Morgan's goal that sends the Americans to the Olympics, 1-0 the final.
There is something quite magical about heading into a new destination. A journey into the unknown. Not alone, but together, as a country, as a sport, ready to soar. We are Canada, and this is our sport. This is our time.
The Summer of Soccer has a sensational lineup. Beginning July 4th, Canada's women's national team looks to qualify for the 2024 Olympics. The 2022 Canadian Championship Final will determine who will lift the coveted Voyageurs Cup, while the Canadian Premier League continues its march towards October's playoffs. All this as Canada's men's national team continues preparation for the World Cup in Qatar. This summer, one channel, one soccer.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis. And all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
Full-time stats brought to you by Toyota. Once again, you look at shots on target, possession. These 2 teams so evenly matched in this game. Their stats even heading into this tournament. But what it took was that one foul in the box that gave the Americans the penalty kick. 1-0, they walk away with the win. Here's Bev Priestman.
Bev, a close one. Where did you think it got away from your team in the end?
Yeah, I think, we just got stretched in a moment. First half, they very much got in on us. We changed some things at half time, and, the game was decided on a penalty. I think you've seen some of our defending, world-class defending, but I think the important thing is this group chucked everything at it right till the very end, chucked the kitchen sink at it, and it wasn't to be, and these things happen. But I think you got to see the relief on the US and the disappointment our face, and I think that shows you where we've come. So yeah, we'll make sure we do it when we do it the next time.
I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it back yet, but any objections on the penalty?
Well, my staff are telling me it wasn't, but I haven't seen it myself. So these things happen, that's football. We just got to hold our heads high now and build towards the World Cup, and we'll come off the back of hopefully a great World Cup and get the qualification done then.
Kaylin Sheridan's got a lot of pressure on her shoulders replacing Steph LeBay. Do you think she showed why she's Canada's #1 tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought she was calm, she was collected. She plays against a lot of these players week in, week out. And our leadership's, shining through. So, yeah, really good game.
How much growth have you seen in the team in general, just going out of this tournament and now going into that crucial Olympic playoff?
Yeah, I think, particularly in attack throughout the tournament, we've done really well. I think they asked some questions of us defensively today, and that's what great teams do. But I think you got to see some performances from individuals across this tournament. Julia Grosso, top scorer. I think we've got to push forward now and use the hurt to keep driving and keep hunting and be where we need to be by the World Cup.
Thank you, Bev. Appreciate this.
We talk about this team, we talk about the state of women's soccer in the country as well. Dee, as they, say goodbye to this tournament, what would you like to see in the next year?
Oh, the next year for Canadian soccer. I mean, this is a national team that has just led the way in the Canadian landscape, and obviously they're going to be disappointed today, but everything they do now between now and next year is going to be just preparing for the World Cup, because they're hungry for a World Cup title. And then, yeah, between now and then, I'm sure they've got an equal pay deal they're looking to make in the coming months. And we've also got to build a pro league here, obviously. So those are kind of the off-field items that hopefully we can see some real progress in the coming months.
Amy, final word goes to you.
Well, I mean, in that same vein, I think you look at this shortened cycle because of COVID, and, you know, questions asked of Blackco, will this team be ready to compete, you know, and defend their championship for the World Cup? Will Canada be ready? Bev Priestman doesn't have very much time to do that. And then you look at Canada since they won gold, 7 games, a 5-0-2 record. The USA since the Olympics and they won bronze, 14-0-3. So that's a difference of 10 games. How come our federation isn't getting these women or this team, these players, more games? And so that goes back to that equitable deal, that equal pay for equal work. And can we also get that for the amount of games that are played so that this team is going into the next year's World Cup as prepared as they can be to compete?
Okay, I lied. You can chime off of that if you want to.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'll go, we've got more time. I'll say three quick things, okay? Yes. Give me a minute, 3 things. I think first, I've been retired about a year now, and in that time been looking at, you know, what business model is feasible for a professional league in Canada. I think the punchline is a domestic league is not just possible in Canada. We literally have the opportunity in this country to build one of the best women's professional leagues in the world. The rest of the world is not that far ahead of us, and we can learn from what they've done. So we have to get in the market and start to compete. Mm-hmm. Second, this is not just about soccer, it's not just about women's sport. This is about walking the walk. I think it's about fulfilling the promise of sport to more than just 50% of Canadians. In Canada, we talk the talk about equity a lot. It's time to start walking the walk a little bit more. And third, I want Canadians to know that I'm working on this. I'm working on this every day. The women's national team players are behind this, pushing it. And we're not going to just settle for building a league. We're going to build a league that is deserving of the Canadian player, past, present, and future, and the Canadian fans. So stay tuned, because there's more to come.
A lot of people are excited for it. You know, and I had said this earlier on in the tournament, right, that the Canadian women in particular have given this country so much to be proud of, you know, 10 years, going back to, you know, starting with the bronze medal in 2012, backing that up again 2016, getting the gold, 8th straight World Cup. Now they're going to make the appearance. So there's been a lot to cheer for, and the chorus has gotten louder, Amy, to see it take that next step. Broader picture, you know, in this country, we do not have one women's professional league across the board. And, you know, I know that the Canadian women on the hockey side obviously are pushing for that too. But in, you know, in soccer in particular, and this is what we're covering, you know, how excited are you as well, knowing that the support is there? Dee is working on it. We have some great minds on it too. Just how special do you think this could be when, not if, when it happens?
Well, this could be what takes Canada really into the next sort of realm of soccer in this country. So seeing that Olympic success with 3 consecutive podiums, but haven't seen the same success in the World Cup. So that is just waiting, because the players are there. And then once we can deepen that player pool with places for these players to play, I just think the sky's the limit. So I think the market is there, the fans will be there, the viewership will be there. I think we just have to take this leap. And with somebody like Dee, who's behind it as the mastermind, this thing's going to take off. And I think the support will be there, and the league will be something that will be successful and will be long lasting, and its impact will be felt at least for this next generation, but for generations to come as well. So I'm really heartened by it and really excited for what's to come for soccer in this country.
You know, a theme in covering the Canadian Premier League is a lot of the players saying how special it's been to come home and play on home soil. For young players to use the CPL as a launching pad, older players to come back, still have a career, retire on home soil. Could you imagine Christine St. Clair being able to come home and play on a team on home soil? Can you imagine the young players as well, right? Playing here and whether they stay or launch off. I just think of those stories that I keep hearing on the CPL side and how much it means to the men. To your point of equity, that should be the story for the women. That should most definitely be the story for the women as well. Well, the tournament here, while there are so many positives for the Canadians to pull, they're going to their 8th straight World Cup. Come up short in the final against the Americans who have the 1-0 victory, get that automatic ticket to Paris 2024. But in September of 2023, the Canadians will play a home and away game, so 2 games against Jamaica to get that other spot. The Concacaf W Championship has been played in Monterrey, Mexico. There are your champions of the tournament celebrating in front of the crowd, lifting the trophy. The United States is going to the World Cup, they're going to the Olympics, and they're going to the inaugural Gold Cup. On behalf of everyone here on One Soccer, that's Amy Walsh, Diana Matheson, I'm Annie Petrillo. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next time.